Brittany Smail is in her third year as an M.F.A. candidate in poetry at SFSU, where she was the 2015-2016 managing editor of 14 Hills. She's newly head over heels for literary translation, and so spends most of her time trawling online French and English dictionaries for just the right word. She lives in San Francisco. Please welcome her.
Thank you from 14 Hills' poetry editor. Well, I'm really happy to be here. And thank you to Laura's persistence in making sure that I actually said yes and said I'd be here. And I've been to Velro only one other time because I work Monday nights, or I used to work Monday nights. So I'm really happy to be here again because I didn't get to be here for so long. I'm taking a French class right now. It's like an undergraduate French class. And it's clearly, some of the worksheets that we do are for like high school kids, that kind of stuff. And so one of the questions recently was, what are your extracurricular activities? And I just had everything is extracurricular. I have a full-time job. And so I think, and a lot of us are like that. So the effort to get here is really great. So thank you everyone for being here. And I think I said this last time I was here, I feel like I'm still finding my voice, and my poetry is sort of like cohesive, and this is not like a collected collection. But as I was thinking about that earlier today, I thought I'm a pretty collected person the rest of my life. So poetry should be the place where it's just totally cool to be uncollected, right? So these are my uncollected thoughts. But that being said, I did try to pull into some themes a little bit. So these are sort of based around home. The first one's called Not Brilliant Every Day. Not brilliant every day, just warmly lit. West facing, a table against a wall, some geometry unintended. A wall against a table, suns triangling. The rug, these shapes, unassuming. Empty hums false, absorbs passersby and suns. This old fat slatted table, these floorboards, false hums. This empty table, this rug, these walls, this matter. Here first, the poor old slatted fat, alone furnishing a blank. An apartment hummed empty. I'll leave it here last, the old table, when I go. I'll leave it last here, empty furnishing, unassumed, unintending, unhummed, warmly lit and west facing, the table, the sun. I'm in a nonfiction class right now, and we're doing quests. And my quest is to somehow figure out how to make my apartment feel like home. So some of these poems have been sort of along that same line, where I've lived in my apartment for 8 years, but always feel like I could move out tomorrow. So trying to understand, like, how does a place start to feel like a home, or how do you make it home? This one's called Homing. Just a placeholder title. It can be hard to accurately spend time. In this apartment there is a clock, above the stove counting minutes, and a wall, calendar mounting days in the office. But these two often count only in comparison to each other. And the floorboards that run door to door most days but can drift, lines to stillness, sifting spaces of minutes into lifespans of trees, and the fireplace too raising forests and flown sparks of inspiration we haven't used. In years, we light candles and turn out overhead lights when we prefer to be of eras current with the paint a few coats under last year's layer. But it's morning here in the mirror that catches the light from the window that defies calculation. When I see my folded face daily, creased as sheets by nights I skip, reflections for memories of days yet to come, each morning a whole life before I turn off my alarm. Okay, one more. This is called The Mirror That Broke. The mirror that broke because I was flippant. Fragility set on a narrow ledge, balanced where it could show me best. Fell while I was away and lay broken. Crooked light prisoned until I swept up, saved some jagged pieces, the frame I'd filled with me since childhood. put into storage behind old clothes, photos, to be revisited, some other day remade, so many years over, looked in one place, until cleaning again, shifting meaning away, a hand too close to glass, still broken, sharp from neglect, cut deep with surprise, at the will of a mirror to reflect. Okay, so we're going to move a little bit. I guess I'll start with these actually. So I'm trying to learn French. I'm trying to improve my French. And I found, as you do when you learn languages, words sort of like, drift into each other. And there's a lot of cognates, especially in Romance languages, but I found in French too, there's words that have the same spelling, completely different meaning in English and French, and different connotations and everything else. So I did a little series of these little teeny poems that are just kind of riffing on that. So this first one's called Lit, so L-I-T, which in French would be lit, which means bed. So lit. A bulb above layers the bed in disarray, dishabillé. Leaves on these unread vignettes of sodden landings. And then this one is par, P-A-R. Forced in two equated foreign, words typed together one by one with one finger moving each letter. And then choose, which is chose in French, which means thing. So choose. To make a thing of a thing designate the matter, a word problem of omission. A tone. Unheard and harmonious weakness renewed through silence, unexpressed and blessed. And then pour, so P-O-U-R. Moving always towards exchanges of state, streaming reasons or stakes a process of gravity. And verse. Turn phrase down, tipped over effusive and timed to fall into other intentions. And then one last one in this series, which I might keep going with, I don't know. This one is Anne, so A-N. A noted closing to open ends. And then still sort of playing with words. I was thinking of the word visceral the other day because I was listening to the news, and like every newscast said something about visceral, about voters and voting from their gut. It's so visceral, and everything's so visceral in this campaign. So I decided to do a little bit of fun. Visceral. Visceral. In word for a public bout of indigestion, a system nervous to its inmost, instinct swarms the heart and bowels and vows to eliminate the jargon of authenticity, crude and hungry, punches pulled from the head to the gut, will land lower. I have no idea how much time I'm taking, so I'm just...
You're doing fine.
Okay, great. Okay, this is just kind of fun. The day I was no longer mistaken for young. The day I was no longer mistaken for young, though maybe it was a night, no longer young but mistaken. An eve, that time just before an evening. A toast to that time just before one too many. I was proud or relieved of my pride in the moment just after a place still unmarked or even measured between uneven lines became mine to grow old in. Okay, and then I was gonna say along similar lines, but really not at all along similar lines, but just kind of personal. I have this old photo. It's of me in my car. In my memory, I'm looking back from the rearview mirror, but in the image I've turned around to look at the camera. My hands are on the wheel. My foot must be on the brake, keeping the photo still. It's tempting to think some truth might be here, maybe, between the mirror and my memory. But if so, it's a past truth. Only a fact, not a lesson in perspective. Perspective requires knowing that the taillights, each a string of 3 horizontal bulbs, are lit by my foot on the brake pedal, 2 bright red ellipses, glowing outside the frame. All right, where am I? Oh, I don't know what this one is, so I'll just read it. It's called I Can. I can. I have no rhythm for curiosity. pain, vanity, humor, love, modesty, greed. I hear no pattern or refrain. But I rhyme a dog huffing a bark to a baby on the sidewalk, pushing her new word through needy sobs, reaching for someone, that small mama, a new shout in the street. And then I often go to a coffee shop. I go to the Mill because it's on Divisadero, and it's between where I live and where I work, so it's halfway, cuts my walk in half, so I walk there. I frustratedly try to do some writing, usually don't get much done, but I drink macchiato, and then I keep going on to work. So I thought I should write a poem about the Mill. This is something that happened while I was sitting there the other day. At the Mill. Talk of physics across the table and coffee cups scattered at random, a chaos of circles. What architecture keeps the beams overhead at right angles, the hatch marks unhidden by ceiling material, a deception too raw to be modern? Concrete under feet and chairs pushing back in time with the clatter of eons, strung out upon theories outlined on the table's grained surface. Would that giving in ever belonged to us? That loan from our after, so temporary a salve for our impulse to solve this love of foundations. The large windows afloat in their frames let the light from outside pass through glass gently clouded by the groping of so many hands. Okay. Okay. Continuing collections. This is two brother poems. To my brother on his bed. I hope he doesn't get mad if he watches this video later. To my brother on his bed, on which he does not sleep, but lies and lies, awake to all his darkening hours. Do lie, awake, aware to all, the light, the life, the lies you cannot sleep through, the night. The night will end your will to keep the light away before you. Sleep, you stay awake, you stay awake. And then this is titled Ulysses. I'm referring to the book. Ulysses. My brother, what a gift. A love that would drift from bedrooms to streets. He opened his mouth and devoured it all, the whole world. He put the whole world in it. He strung out his dreams on strands left by a father. That shape, shifting sand underfoot. He drew land on the scraps afloat in his pockets. Everything he loved pulled out to sea, caught by Calypso, same as Penelope. My brother repeated, the whole world more condensed, like a word, like a song, a whole universe in part, the art of a son, the heart of a man too particular, too. That book ruined my life. My brother, a whole world in a book. Okay. One more of mine and then one translation. So this one I tentatively titled Speaking just because it didn't have a title. So Speaking. I don't have to put everything into words. Forget that love wraps around other people. Only notice when it pulls in the veins wrapped around my arms. You. A story told underwater. A two-sided bottle wet inside and out, divided by glass and narration. We don't speak of equations, but figure ourselves into postulates. Mine, or my line of vision, a face pinned on by a mirror. I mistake myself and feel wrong about my discomfort. Yours, all I say too loudly or to myself or of me. Yes, I am a real persona, why do you keep asking? Ours, the bottom line, the one that comes before, the one that's been erased. And then this is just for fun too. I've been translating for a translation class, and just it's one of the best ways to learn another language is to like really spend time with it and translate. And especially, a way to practice on your poetry is to try to work with somebody else's poetry and try to make a poem work in a new language. So I've been translating Apollinaire poems, and this is just a really short one. I just brought it because it's very him, and it's also just talks about what it's like to want to write something and just be in a room writing. So this one's called Hotel. Oh, should I do the French reloaded? Okay. I haven't practiced this, so forgive me. Hotel. Ma chambre a la forme d'une cage. Le soleil passe son bras par la fenêtre. Mais moi qui veux fumer pour faire des mirages, j'allume au feu du jour ma cigarette. Je ne veux pas travailler, je veux to me. You'd like stretch out my mouth before I do that. So this is not rhyming the way he says, but the literal translation. Hotel. My room takes the shape of a cage. The sun passes its arm through the window. But I, who want to smoke to make mirages, I light my cigarette with daylight. I don't want to work. I want to smoke.